difference between like a 1 health Sethic sticking versus a clear board could be the entire game solved there, because you just cannot afford to leave any of these minions up for the priest. They can take so much advantage with all of that mana cheat, and the fact that there's no Malagos in there makes it such that the mana sinks are fewer and farther between, and this opening hand is the juice.
That's so spicy. Like, okay, let's pass through this, because with Sethic Veilweaver and Nazmani Bloodweaver in hand, Insight becomes quite a lot worse. It has a decent chance to draw Drekthar, and if Drekthar is drawn with Corrupted Insight, it does nothing. It's a 2-mana 4/4, which is obviously not what you're looking for. And also, do you really want a triple minion hand with just a Gift of Luminance to go alongside that? I feel like for this instance, like the Sethic, what it really wants is another Nazmani Bloodweaver. You want that nice ratio of 2 Nazmanis to 1 Sethic that so often gets you that critical speed of being able to play a lot of your generated spells alongside it. So I would be tempted to do exactly what Posesi's done here, where you just throw away the Insight, hold on to the rest, and basically hope for a palm reading to make this hand absolutely ridiculous.
It's exactly that palm reading that's needed to make the hand pop off, like you said. Otherwise, all of these combo pieces come together a bit too slowly, right? Without any discounts, we are looking at Nazmani into Sethic on turn 4 with the coin. And even then, that's probably not what Posesi wants to do. He wants to copy Nazmani, and that would theoretically have him play down Nazmani into Coin Luminance on turn 5, which is still not guaranteed to immediately discount Sethic. So either Raise Dead, or Palm Reading, or some other 0-cost spells are still necessary here. And the longer Posesi waits, the more vulnerable he is to Glide. So I wonder if he'll ever take a risk with a Tempo Nazmani instead, which is a line that I was about to suggest if he had kept the Insight, because that would allow you to sort of play down the first Nazmani, test the waters, and if it gets cleared, you can still have a chance at inciting the second one and have it be corrupted.
I mean, here already there are multiple risky plays that could have been taken by Posesi. Like, Coin Sethic was tempting. With Bless in hand, making a 5/5 is very, very difficult to clear, especially when Divine Shields can be applied to it next turn. Coin Nazmani is the same situation, where it's very difficult to kill both of them. In fact, pretty much only die to Fel Barrage exactly on the other side. So he could make 2 different plays that go all in on your opponent not having Fel Barrage. But I think for Posesi, this hand is good enough to the point where you don't have to take such an extreme risk.
It's a risk into Fel Barrage versus a risk into Glide that he has to balance here. It's so difficult, honestly, and I don't mind him testing the waters with the Sethic first, because I feel that with the double renew, you actually have enough card generation already that your Nazmani gets good discounts. So okasinnsuke going to remove the Sethic with his Chaos Strike very nicely here. And of course, this is the rally version, right? So Posesi doesn't mind too much if his minions get cleared. They can be resurrected as soon as he finds the rally.
Or the Raise Dead. Now Nazmani coming down as well. Okay, this is fine, because again, Chaos Strike's just gone down. That makes like Chaos Strike Fury less of a possibility. Fury hero power is not enough to clear it off on its own. It needs to be, obviously, Fel Barrage would be the easiest clear for okasinnsuke. But if not, you're getting into the territory of, I don't know, something like the Arcanist plus Immolation Aura, something like that, to be able to clear it off.
Really scary for okasinnsuke, because he will have that rally and the Raise Dead in mind, probably thinking Posesi wouldn't be so lenient with using his minions if he didn't have a way to get them back into hand or board. So seeing what's in the studies first, Spectral Sight is tempting, but the thing is, this turn is probably allocated to Fel Barrage hero power, so he is just going to use the Crimson Sigil runner while he has it in outcast position. I think it's very reasonable from okasinnsuke, and Posesi has sort of forced okasinnsuke into using 2 removal pieces, and now he'll be thinking, all right, this Raise Dead, the minions should finally stick. Now, can he just survive against a Glide?
That's right. I mean, it's a very strong forcing hand from Posesi, right? Because like you say, 2 strong removal pieces have been used, but also turn 5 is about to come around, and okasinnsuke hasn't completed a single layer of the quest. We saw okasinnsuke earlier this weekend playing Kurtrus on turn 5, I believe, not just starting to get Kurtrus in hand on turn 5. So Posesi has bought himself so much time here by denying the quest for so long.
Very interesting to see this play out because Posesi has made it such a way that because he's been playing out his minions and because the deck has so much more redundancy in the revival of the 2 key minions of Nazmani and Sethek compared to the regular Miracle Priest version we're used to, it makes it such that Glide is not as punishing as it would be in this situation from Miracle Priest, right? They would have been waiting with way more cards in hand right now.
Okay, Spectral Sight is looking a lot more tempting now. Like, you can get there with Sigil runners in order to complete the quest, sorry, but I don't know. The 1/1 isn't doing all too much for me, and Spectral Sight's just so efficient.
I feel like he takes it, but goes double jump to fish for Glide instead.
Okay.
Because it still would have been playable with the aura of the studies, but Okashinsuke is prioritizing the clear potential on the Sethek, and with quest completion of the tradable, he'll get 2 discounts on Fury and the Aldraki, which is enough to get through the 5/5 alongside the trade.
A really nice couple of draws, actually really fortunate for Okashinsuke to be able to get there. And all of a sudden, with this clear here and Jace available in just 2 turns time and plenty of spells to juice it up along the way, this is looking interesting for Okashinsuke. I thought he was just going to be falling too far behind to all the mana reduction and generation from Posesi, but he's got a very, very strong win condition of his own coming together.
Huge draw for Posesi in not the way that he wants, honestly, because Powered Fortitude is always so awkward in that if you wait to coin Luminance and then play the Fortitude, it might have eaten up too many of your discounts. So Posesi can start with Fortitude here, but then he runs the risk of not discounting the Gift of Luminance, which he absolutely needs to do to make this turn completely pop. He has a lot of chances still with the Renews, fair enough, but he doesn't get those exponential discounts unless he has copied the Nazmani. Otherwise, it's just 1 for 1.
Got to be Holy Smite here. Yeah, like, I know Elec Mount is tempting because it could be so good if you stick it, but he doesn't have the mana cheat to be able to play a card that expensive.
Like, he is hoping that either this discount, the other 0-cost renew, or the coin gets the Gift of Luminance down to 1 mana. He needs 2 discounts for this to continue working, but it feels like he's given up on that game plan already because the rope is burning and there's still so much to be done if a gift can be played, but I think he'll just hold off on the coin here and say, deal with this 5/10. It's still quite a lot that he's asking for.
It is. It's going to be difficult. That is now, how much are we looking at? 5, 6, 7. Immolation plus Fell Scream. Like, the clear is there.
It's there, but man, is it expensive. I think it's justifiable because he has Jace to follow up.
Right.
But Posesi is honestly going for a major bluff here. He doesn't have second Nazmani in hand, nor Rally, nor Drekthar. And Okashinsuke will be thinking, oh, if I commit all these resources and he just rallies me, what do I do?
Shows how tough this deck is to play. Like, it's not just setting up for one big pop-off turn like the more modern Miracle Priest is. There are so many different avenues you can explore. And hopefully, like you were saying, the style of practice that Posesi's gone for of just jamming decks on ladder will pay off for him here to be able to know all these intricacies inside and out. But as we can see here, Okashinsuke looking like he's not going for the clear. Does still have it available, actually, with the way those card draws worked out with Arcanist, plus, oh no, it's just short because the mana isn't there with the Immolation.
Yeah, I don't see it either, but it looks like he might be taking down a breakpoint versus Bless here. Did he rope out the attack? Okay, got the attack in. Probably not happy with the choice to attack in at all, but now Posesi, 0 hesitation. That's a Sethek off the top. Oh my goodness.
Oh, now we're talking.
All right, here's where things get very clowny.
Absolutely perfect for him. I guess you probably will copy another Sethek. I mean, you see what happens here first. But, oh, with another Nazmani off the top, this can just go absolutely infinite.
Only thing holding him back is his APM. So Nazmani into Renew. To be fair, he did generate very useless and expensive spells. Against all odds, just blows up his own 1/1 Nazmanis.
Ooh.
And the 5/6. Wait. You didn't discount the Holy Smite.
No.
The train just ends there.
No!
And this is a clear with just hero power into the 5/6 and then Arcanist Immolation Aura. That's literally all it takes.
The Divine Shield, 3 health, 1 health, 1 health. You're absolutely right. It's just there.
I mean, he could go for a Fell Scream angle instead if he doesn't want to take the 5, but if you're clearing the board, Priest just does not threaten much reach at all. Thing is, there's still going to be a lot of mana floated after that, but man, who cares, right? Okashinsuke's fine. He could go for like a Fell Barrage type of play. I'm trying to see if he can fit in Glide, but I just don't think he can with the full clear.
Right. I mean,
He could
can,
fit
but not
in
outcast.
non-outcast. Exactly. And the Glide just feels not that good if you're not outcasting. It does progress quest, which is decent, but it sure feels juicy to glide back a bunch of generated spells, which you can pretty easily infer are expensive, given that Posesi's big pop-off turn got cut off very quickly.
Exactly, and honestly, I just like having that Jace in hand. I think that's your ace in the hole now, no matter what your opponent does. Even if that can't clear the board, it can get you really blooming close to doing so and keep you in the game. Drekthar off the top, though, unfortunately, I think is the last minion, so it's just a vanilla 4/4 now.
Is there not still one Nazmani left?
He drew it with the insight last turn.
Okay. My mistake. I retract my
It's gone from ooh to oh.
Yeah, that is also just not a great palm reading discovery. He needed some value here. The version of Rally Priest is simply not running Draconic Studies, so there is no way to generate minions other than the last Raised Dead in the deck.
Okay, so Jace currently only draws him 1 card with 1 Chaos Strike having been played, so I'm not especially tempted in playing that for like, I don't know, tempo, quote unquote, or like damage to face. I think I'd rather save that for a panic button later on in the game if my opponent does manage to develop some threats. And so trade is reasonable, but I mean, honestly, even like play the Guild Trader and Glide, but at the same time, their hand clearly sucks right now, so maybe Glide in Outcast actually isn't good anymore.
True. I mean, I'm not sure how good of a read Okashinsuke can have on the hand sucking. From his perspective, maybe it's just like cards that Posesi doesn't want to let loose with just yet, like a Psyche Split, for example. Which is still a good card if he does top deck Raise Dead. It's really difficult to say. And Okashinsuke has to account for literally the entire Priest library of spells right now to sort of ask himself, what is the one way I can lose from his point? Because he knows he is very far ahead. But if there is Draconic Studies generated, suddenly that could be another threat, or 3 if you get Skeletal Drake, or 10 if you get Kazaku-san, that Okashinsuke will have to account for. I think the most important thing for him here is to just not be too willy-nilly with his resources, right? Because we could have seen something like Expendable Performers go. But if they generated a Holy Nova, then suddenly that's a lot of your burst damage and actual capability of ending the game out the window. Like, there is a world that if Posesi generated the right spells, that Okashinsuke could get fatigued here, and that's what Okashinsuke is worried about.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely bang on there. And so Okashinsuke is just being very, very cautious. Honestly, if anything, I think the biggest criticism, apologies, I've had of Okashinsuke has been like over cautiousness, if anything. So far, I think everything he's doing this game is warranted because it's clearing the last hard minion they run in their deck, and then you can start winning the game. But if I think back, there's been a couple of instances where he's been hesitant to actually get his own win condition online so quickly in order to play around everything his opponent can do. And that therefore gives them a little bit more time to find some weird plan B, C, D, or Z, whatever it is later on in the game. And so here for okasinnsuke, while I understand everything he's doing so far, I do want to see that switch he makes at some point, where he actually starts winning the game. And Kurtrus off the top, I think, is just such a switch.
Yeah, that is the win condition he was waiting for. It was scary to go and look for it with Glide, but now he absolutely has the license to go for it. In terms of plan B, C, D, Posesi, I think, is on plan G already for Guild Trader. Like, that was a pretty good target with initiation, all things considered. Like, enough health on it that if it hadn't been Kurtrus or Jace here for okasinnsuke, that had a very real chance of sticking around. And then Posesi could try and generate Psyche Split, find his bless or something like that, and just rely on one minion to get through. But that game plan is out the window, and now he's found a rally off the Glide, and there's a chance to go again.
Yep, game plan R into game plan SWD, hoping that this can somehow pull this one around. Holy Smite, yeah, sure. Like, Thrive in the Shadows, I would probably say you want to go for to maybe snipe a Gift of Luminance, but those have actually, I think, both been played now that I think about it.
Right. And there's no Desperate Prayers in this version. There are no Gift of the Narus either to make room for all the additional minion package and the 2-powered feast that Posesi favors here. The Alec Mount is potentially game-winning here if he can just stick more minions, but we can see that okasinnsuke has the Jace in the post-glide hand as well, and Magtheridon. But the Magtheridon tokens can't be killed off here that I can see, so it's probably just a Jace.
Yeah, I mean, with Chaos Strike Jace or Fell Scream Blast Jace, either way is probably fine. I think you're just guaranteed a board clear.
It's always hard to figure out the worst case scenario of the order of spells. You're always happy to have almost always happy to have the Immolation or a hit before the Fell Barrage.
Yeah.
And given that he still has 2 mana remaining after Jace and can commit a Chaos Strike and double that up alongside the one he had played before, he'll always have 6 attack. I think the Jace is a guaranteed clear.
Yeah. And now with Fellfire and Expendable in hand, he's looking very possibly at lethal in the next couple of turns. You still absolutely do clear, even though there's some health on the board that could get you lethal next turn, just because you don't want to give them any chance of hitting that critical mass where they just go over the top and stomp you out the game. Here with a nice Fell Barrage to clear things off. Second Fell Barrage to clear the Sethic off as well. It's a clear, it's damage face, it's potentially setting up lethal, and it's all in on Posesi to find some kind of a miracle off of Call of the Grave.
Yeah. Death Rattle minions. Magic Hexen can.
Okay, yeah, true.
Light Shower Elemental is usually the good one, but I just don't think it's good enough in this position.
Right. Yeah, Light Shower or Moog Forge Fiend, like one of the big ones to get him some extra health and taunt, but those aren't good enough.
Yeah, we'll see what's in the box. Magic Hexen!
Okay.
Wait, it triggers, but you get to play... The Death Rattle triggers, which does nothing, but you also just get to play it from the Discover, which does steal the Jace.
I mean, you could go Mailbox Dancer just to taunt them as you concede.
I mean, you can Magic Hexen and then buff it with +3/+5 and hope it just doesn't die and you keep the Jace. That's the best I can think of.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Going Soul Mirror, maybe he's gonna try and yoink the Kurtrus Demon Slayer instead. Quest reward is bigger than Jace currently.
It's just not even necessary. Like, I don't think okasinnsuke. I mean, he might play as a play it as a 5-mana 7/7, but other than that, it's not doing much. It doesn't need to.
Yeah, he doesn't need to. I mean, the weird thing is okasinnsuke's combo right now is dependent on Posesi having minions on board because the entire hand is pre-Kurtrus, nothing discounted. So he can't weave in the Magtheridon with the Expendable plus Deadeye combo all on the same turn, unless he goes Kurtrus and then glides everything back. But whether or not that even needs to be a problem remains to be seen.
Okay, so Posesi not going for the buff on the Magic Hexen because he's figured out that 7 health on his board doesn't equal enough attacks with expendable performers for him to die, I don't think. So he's got himself very likely surviving another turn.
Yeah, and Okashinsuke, because he knows it's not a kill yet with the combo, is just going to take down the Najak nice and easy. 2 cards remaining in the deck. Posesi grasping at straws to find a way to fatigue Okashinsuke, but he's running out of answers for these minions. Okay, Soul Mirror can deal with this wave, but can he answer a potential Magtheridon?
I want to say
it
no.
looks. I mean, Okashinsuke cannot afford to wait forever.
Oh, is he going to get fatigued this game? Like, say he goes for a big Magtheridon here with Fell Scream and Immo. All of a sudden, Posesi has a chance to generate like Shadow Word Death. That's just Glide left in the deck, by the way, with the Furies and the Kurtrus being a little bit buggy, unfortunately.
Okay.
But that's no extra value, right? Like,
Wait,
still a ways off from lethal.
it's a big deal because the Glide allows him to reshuffle the combo into the deck and then draw it with the discounts from the Kurtrus, which would allow him to play Magtheridon, Fellfire, and Expendable all at once, which is 18 burst plus the weapon plus the initial hero power, which is 22 maximum. However, after this turn, Posesi is going to get past that breakpoint. So a little bit extra needs to be done, the way I see it. But Okashinsuke is just making it so that he dumps the entire hand outside of the combo pieces and is guaranteed to draw them all back post-glide. Yeah, this is fine. He's still going to draw the last card next turn, so no need to dump the Fell Scream. Okay. Commits a hero power this turn, so we are looking at now a 20 damage breakpoint because he's expended the weapon. And then there's the Viper as well. So if Posesi can get above 20 and deal with the Viper, he is not dead the next turn.
Wave of Apathy doesn't deal with the entirety, but it takes off 2 damage, which helps. But maybe just take Shard to trade instead, yeah.
I think so. I honestly don't know what's left in the deck that can help him here, but this is the last hurdle he needed to find, but it's not there. Posesi knows it. 20 damage, just enough, even not accounting for the Viper. Oh, man. You only have, wait. 4 board spaces. Okay, it still works, right? Because you miss out on 1 performer. You only have 8 that can rush in, but you have the Viper damage. So it's like 16 plus the initial hero power, which is 18, and then the Viper attack for 21, as far as I count.
I agree. I see it as well, yeah.
The crucial thing is to attack with the Viper before you kill all of the 1/3s. Oh, sorry, yeah, you do actually get even 1 more performer through if you play it even before the Deadeye. So it's actually 23 maximum here.
Very clever. I think he's found it.
Oh man, that was closer than it looked at the end. Posesi had a very real route toward fatigue. It just depended on what kind of cards he had generated, right? This is what Okashinsuke was worried about after he saw the big Sethic pop off.
No, I thought it was very, very smartly played from both players. Like, Posesi was clearly setting up for this kind of fatigue win condition right from the end. Like, I do want to say that even though the late game felt like it was very well understood by Posesi, that early game felt a little bit unsure, like especially his big pop-off turn where he was just clearly incredibly indecisive as to whether or not he should play the power word Fortitude first, go coin into Gift of the Luminance, maybe even just go for Renew to start things off instead. Like, there were so many different ways he could have gone for, and he couldn't quite make his mind up. In the end, went for the power word Fortitude, and I think maybe not waiting another turn or going for that specific order shot himself in the foot a little bit, because he was just left with no real way to blow up, right? To go with these explosive turns that you need to do as this version of Miracle Priest. And then the turn after as well, obviously double against the odds is pretty unfortunate, but he just couldn't hit that terminal velocity you need to do.
It's just so I think, telling of why people ban away Demon Hunter. There's so many decks that feel so comfortable in a world without Glide. Like, Posesi absolutely would have waited one more turn to do the pop-off like you were talking about and make sure that he didn't have to worry about the Power Word Fortitude sinking and eating so many of his discounts. But in a world where you're so worried about your opponent shuffling back all of your discounts with palm reading, shuffling back the coin and making your average top deck so much worse and giving you a much more difficult shot at popping off anytime in the future, he felt that he didn't have the time to wait. Unfortunately, didn't pan out here, but hats off to okasinnsuke as well for navigating the matchup so cleverly, because there were many ways this could go wrong towards the end here, but I think the cautious approach, the cautious style he has gone for, I think you described it perfectly well, that okasinnsuke has been a very careful player. It served him well this time.
It did indeed, and we'll have to see how it goes for him here as he's lining up his Druid, the Glowfly Swarm variant, which against this version of Miracle Priest is going to be an interesting prospect. Like, traditionally, as I've said, this kind of Druid has existed in one form or another in essentially every metagame, especially since Overgrowth has been a card. And when this old version of Priest was up against this version of Druid at the time, I forget exactly which version it was. It was like full Spell Druid, or maybe just Ramp Druid into Clowns later on in the game as well. But the Priest did very well, right? It makes a few big minions. You throw down a Sethic, it's hard to clear. You throw down a Nazmani, it's hard to clear. You can play it very liberally, play your minions proactively, and then recoup all that mana later on in spades. I imagine that will still mostly be the case, with the real difference maker potentially being Scale of Onyxia, more so even than Kazakh-san here, as it's the one guaranteed very strong reactive play. Being able to kill off 14 worth of health later on is really scary.
okasinnsuke also has this one Feral Rage teched in there, which we only normally see in the Kaz armor version, but he slotted in here in the token version, and that is a pretty important card if you've managed to ramp. It does allow you to answer a Nazmani just played out for tempo, Feral Rage plus hero power. So I wonder if he'll be thinking about holding on to that, but with a hand that's panning out like the rest of this hand is, I'd be in favor of tossing it. Just look for a Fungal Fortunes and pop off with the token half of the deck instead.
So are you keeping everything else with the Arbor up and the Innovate, supplementing the game plan enough to the point where you don't need to hard look for just draw with the Glowfly?
I'd consider keeping Arbor up, but just Glowfly is also very reasonable, I think, and okasinnsuke has gone for that, because when you're going second, it's already just so much more comfortable playing Glowfly because you're able to coin it out. You start with an additional card in hand, so that's most likely going to be an additional token for you. This hand, though, has just gotten very spicy indeed with the other two key cards we were talking about. Ooh.
Oh, it's getting spicy for both players here. Yeah, I'm definitely looking at Gift most heavily. I think Rally is a backup that's not really needed at this point in the game. And even though Thrive is tempting to look for Insight for that Sethic to complete the combo, I think here, honestly, just getting a big Nazmani and hoping to hit on the palm is a slightly more consistent way of getting there.
I would agree. There's something to be said for like playing out Thrives if you're playing against a deck like Demon Hunter, which has Glide, and then you kind of want to just use the tutor effects already and delete them from the deck, but I think that's just overthinking too much. So the Gift were okay, he does go for the Thrive then. So now we have to ask, like, what spell is he looking for? Because you don't take this unless you have a very specific outcome in mind, and my guess would be Insight.
No, I absolutely agree. This hand, like, again, I think he's realizing the problem with his last game revolves pretty heavily around Power Word Fortitude. Without the Sethic to go alongside that, that card becomes a lot worse because you're dumping all your cards, sinking all your mana discount onto Fortitude with every spell you play. And so by trying to go all in on finding the Sethic, it makes that card potentially a lot more powerful. And here, okasinnsuke, as I think we can see from his subtle wry smile there, he knows exactly what's up on this turn with the potential for Kazakh-san. The question is it worth it at this point? The mana that you have available is so limited, and so many of those strong treasures require you to have like 7, 8, 9, even 10 to make good use of them.
I would want to hold out, especially since he has Glowfly still. And if you use all of that ramp on Kazakhstan, Glowfly is essentially a dead card for the rest of the game. So, okay, he disagrees.
Oh.
He's just going in with no additional card draw and no hard
Let's
ramp. That is
go.
bold. And Posesi picked up a Shadow Word Death from the
Right.
and he's going to be so rewarded for that. Oh my goodness.
Okay, what are we looking at?
Bubba?
Bubba, yeah.
Cold or Looming? I kind of like Looming because he has no further card draw. It just is kind of a card that helps your consistency.
Right.
Nopic with Bubba, but Vampiric is probably too good, right?
Are you not looking at removal? I guess Staff answers your removal right there, but I did want a way to actually kill off a big minion, which is why I was looking at Necrotic Poison a few treasures ago at this point. But I agree. I think your head is more so in the right place with needing to prioritize the proactive treasures and actually win the game.
And Bubba is just one of the best alongside Boombox because Okashinsuke is not at those lofty mana totals you expect Druid to be at by the time they play Kazakhstan. So he wanted one of the cheap board presence options, and those are exactly that. Last turn, kind of funny to note that he didn't hero power and attack face out of habit, I'm gonna guess, because Posesi's not even hard running Gift of the Naru, which is usually the punish for putting any damage on the priest, nor does he have Zyrella. It's funny. Anyway.
Oh, I mean, I'd be really tempted to hold off for another turn. Like, just play Shadow Word Death, maybe play Thrive here, and set up for something more consistent. But he's going with, okay, sticking the Nazmani instead.
I think it's great because he knows that Okashinsuke is double overloaded, so
Yeah.
the Nazmani will always stick. He's just saying, I'm for sure popping off next turn. I want to commit the mana with the Nazmani now. It's just unfortunate he doesn't have a Sethic yet to go alongside this, but he can get one potentially. I like starting with Power Word Fortitude, but I guess... Okay, here. And then he goes for the gift.
Realizing it.
All right, now he is striving for insight. I think that would be a priority.
I would agree.
Okay, renew into palm reading. Insane. Gets the discount on that as well.
Okay.
Insight.
Ooh, okay, there's the insight. That's what we're looking for.
He doesn't get
Not
to corrupt it.
Corrupted. Yeah.
But it's fine. Sethic's still playable if he gets it. The two and no, sorry. There's Drekthar, 2 Sethics, and the other Nazmani in there.
Right.
Oh man, there's so little time to work with. Just take the feast and go.
Yeah. Go, 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 go.
Oh no, is the turn just ending here? No way.
Okay. I mean, you have to play Bless, right? Surely you're playing that and going face. I guess he's saving it for the Sethic, but man, that's a lot of missed damage. That's like 7 he just missed out on.
More so than damage, it's a lot of missed cards. Like, the Sethic is just not good enough without the Nazmani's next turn. Like, it still generates quite a few cards, but outside of these 3 ones that start at 0 and maybe 1 or 2 extra, I don't think he can do anything significant enough to win the game. Okashinsuke also with the perfect top deck in the staff can clear this very easily, can just set up for, I guess, thinking about whether he wants to commit Lunar Eclipse to remove a shield and maintain 1 more snake, but I don't think it's worth.
Yeah, I want to say you just save that for a Sethic if somehow they, you know, like we said, generated a Condemn or a Holy Nova, some way to clear off these minions, or a Silence. You want to have an immediate answer to that Sethic Veil Weaver. Here, though, Posesi with a decent hand, considering how powerful the answer was for Okashinsuke. With the Devour and the Holy Smite, he can clear off the snake. And honestly, I think you have to do it here. You're not waiting for another Sethic. You're not waiting for a Nazmani. You've got to just get some generation going.
The waiting might have already punished Posesi here. There could have been so much more potential for value if the Sethic had come down last turn, and it could have. Double Holy Nova Psyche split.
Oh, it's good. It's good.
Yeah, if he sticks the Sethic, and it looks like he will. Unless the studies gets like Bloom or something into scale, but nope.
Or Cold Tooth. I mean, if he picked either Vampiric Fangs or Necrotic Poison, he'd be able to get an answer, but I don't think he did.
Yeah, Had Staff, Bubba, Boombox. I think Looming Presence? I don't know.
He did. There we go.
about it.
Fantastic.
Well, that means Posesi's very much in the spot he was last game again. Out of threats, needs rally. Rekthar still decent here, right?
Yes, and I think the Spectator has broken. The necrotic poison, so toxic, has actually just broken the Spectator entirely. But something powerful is happening, I'm sure. We can't see it, but I bet it's good.
I am hypothesizing he top deck Raised Dead, got Sethic back. That's why there's a Nazmani in hand as well. Played a new Sethic, played Psyche Split, and got these spells in hand. Yeah. Help!
Please.
Pack Mule yesterday and something else today.
Yeah, necrotic poison. Does that just break Spectator? Is that a new fun thing we're going to have to work with?
Yeah, very fun indeed. I think Posesi's turn is over. If he did go for what I suspect he did, he wouldn't have very much mana to work with at all after that. I think he got an additional spell because maybe got Desperate Prayer and generated? I don't know. But it's clearly okasinnsuke's turn again. He's going scale, clearing what I hypothesize is 2 Sethics. Yeah. Oh no, Dark!
Hey, okay, there we go. Well, how's this looking? The board is clear. That's the important thing. Whatever okasinnsuke did, it was good enough. Well, I guess it was quite clearly just the scale. But it was good enough to claw himself back into this one. As Posesi, surprisingly, is not out of it with some more fantastic generation effects. Double Psych Split, doubling down on the Nazmani here. Insight in hand. Unless we find a strong answer here for okasinnsuke, it's not going to get there. But he has that strong answer with Bubba plus Canopic.
However, they rush in with the battle cry, so you have to
you can't stop them.
Yeah, you can, however, Lunar Eclipse to maintain one token and Canopic that. That doesn't feel good, and so I think it might be Boombox instead, and pray they don't have Shard of the Naru.
Oh, that feels so risky.
I don't know. Yeah, okay. Maybe it's better to Lunar and then just clear one and then don't play Canopic. You can do it next turn. But, I mean, I feel like you leave one Nazmani up, you leave 2, it's the same problem. I don't know.
I mean, 2 is a lot scarier than 1. If you can clear 1, you're much, much happier, but...
True. I mean, it depends how many copy effects you think they have left because it truly starts to get exponential, the discounts, the more you leave up. Okay. Gonna be Hero Power Bubba instead of the Lunar, fair enough. This is just optimizing the damage. Means that he doesn't maintain any tokens after this, but I think he is fine with that. And now Posesi steering once again because that's a Corrupt Insight in hand, and if I'm not mistaken, there's still a Sethic in the deck. The second one came from a Raised Dead.
Yes, I think you're right. It gets really hard to track this very quickly, but yes, I think so.
But he got Drekthar, it looks like.
That's a miss. Yeah. Oh, that's so bad.
Yeah. Is there any way? No. If the Nazmanis could only make Drekthar more expensive instead. What a terrible card. All right, now it has to be Hero Power Boombox Canopic Jars. I don't think there's any negotiation at this point. Like, okasinnsuke knows that this is Drekthar. If that were Sethic, it 100% would have hit the board. So now he just prays that one of the 3 other cards in hand and the top deck, all of those are not Shard of the Naru.
Are we really trying to greed value out of the Glowfly here? I think I'd rather just have a bunch of boombots that blow up and kill everything.
Yep, me too. And it means you don't have to expend the Lunar once again. You can just Hero Power on the 4-1. Yes, it does mean the Glowfly is completely unplayable by that point. And it so happens that Posesi generated 2 Holy Novas. And so every board that okasinnsuke can generate extra counts from this point. But if I'm okasinnsuke, I'm just kind of hoping that the Canopic Jars gets there. He's so scared of Shard of the Naru though, and can you blame him? it would just completely seal the game.
I mean, not necessarily. You'd still have a bunch of 1-1s. Like, if they have Shard into Shadow Word Devour, then yeah, it can be really bad. But again, it's time to not be so cautious, okasinnsuke. This is what we need to see from him. This is a tough play for a player like him to make, but I love that he's doing it.
Right. He is throwing caution to the wind, very outside his character, but it's gonna work out for him unless Raised can pull a Sethic. There's more Nazmanis in the pool right now, but that's a Sethic.
Or chain needs to be perfect. Like,
okay.
go Nazmani Sethic and then point the Devour at the Sethic because that needs to survive.
Right. The unfortunate thing for Posesi is he doesn't even have a hope of generating Shard before he blows up the board. All of his spells would blow up the Moonbots and pop the Canopic Jars. And now we're gonna get to see what in the world are these legendaries. That's Scabs, that's Corvus, the charge for that's a Deathwing, Eggman. Okay, Tyrion. Mage is it just a 5/5, but I'm just shouting names now, and then the Rogue legendary that no one played ever. Oh my goodness.
Oh, Hysteria though is the one card generated. I don't think it gets there, but that's what you need to have any chance. Just double smacks Tyrion like an absolute.
Okay. You can Nova. Okay, he's gonna keep going.
Over Nova. Oh, he's actually cleared most of the board somehow.
He has most though, not all.
Most. Oh yeah.
So clowny, staff in to go again, Canopic.
Oh, ridiculous.
Of course it's another Canopic, right? You can pop 2 more legendaries here.
Yep.
And put the Death Rattle on all the other minions as well. I'm sure that okasinnsuke knows that there's no Shard in hand right now. So, and even if they did have Shard, you're still gonna have stats on your minions outside of the card text.
Yeah, it's just whether you run out of board space, because you would have, what, 5? Bump in... Well, it's fine, it's still fine. Yeah, even if you bump in 2 of the reborn versions, you end up with 7 minions on board. It's perfect.
Here we go again! Can you get lethal this turn? King Crush into King Crush? That would do it.
Let's see. Oh.
Aww.
I agree. You just get the immediate stats on board. Like, get rid of a Divine Shield. It doesn't. Sorry, of a Reborn. It doesn't matter if there's AOE.
What's the name of this card? Postman. That's what it used to be.
What?
Is this not the Watch Post guy, or is that someone else?
No, it's Neru. It's Neru.
Oh, it's Neru. My bad.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Not Postman. The lamest legendary ever. Postman Pat and his green skin.
But the Watch Post guy is also 7 mana 5/5, right? I always just, yeah, whatever.
There we go.
Doesn't matter.
Oh man, I'm glad that okasinnsuke can see the funny side of that one as well, because that was, as you said, just clowny. What was it? Turn 3 Kazakhstan into like perfect top deck scale, the perfect clear the turn after with the necrotic poison, breaking the spectator, and yet still somehow, literally unknown to us because we couldn't watch it, Posesi was able to claw himself an actual chance of pulling his way back into the game. Even if time and again, Kazakhstan is just the destroyer of hope. It gives you just enough to think you can win the game, just enough to not concede and move on to the next one, but always at the last minute, it tears it away with Deathwing on Tyrion action.
Oh my goodness. This end game, I just cannot watch it with a straight face. But honestly, it's just starting to look really scary for Posesi. The Rally Priest deck has fallen twice in a row, and I think it only has the Mirror left. Oh no, did he ban the Priest from okasinnsuke? Ban the Rogue,
so yeah.
So it will have to prove itself versus the more streamlined and more consistent version. This is still going to be a very clowny matchup, and the one where I hypothesized that the Rally version would be more favored. But looking at the ban out so far, I don't know if I have to retract that. Like, just clearly looks like the reason people have gravitated more towards the Malagos version is the fact that the generations of Sethic are just too high variance. You never know what you're going to get. Sometimes you get unplayables like the against all odds that ended up in Posesi's hand. The Malagos version, yes, it gives you less alternate win conditions as opposed to building boards, but it makes sure that when you do build those boards, the heights that the minions get to are lofty enough that most decks cannot clear them.
You're absolutely right. I mean, it's not an accident that this deck was playable towards the start of a rotation and lost popularity towards the end of a rotation, because decks like this that rely on consistent generation need there to be a small pool of effects. It's why back in the day, I'm forgetting the name, the Mountain Giant summoning the Mage deck, sorry, at the start of GM, Summoners 3-mana twin spell card. It'll come to me at some point. Relies on there being such a small pool of generating effects, and it's the same with this priest, right? If you have in there, as we were talking about, against all odds, these expensive spells that don't do anything, the deck becomes so much worse. You need it to be a huge amount of very, very cheap spells for it to get the job done, as it was at the start of the rotation. And who knows, once rotation comes around next year, maybe some other variants of Priest will be able to go for a similar-ish style.
Yep, we do see Posesi moving away from his own Rally Priest, though, and going to the Quest Rogue instead, which I believe is a very solid favorable for the Quest Rogue. They have just so much redundant removal for individual minions, no matter the height of them, because there is the SI7 Assassin, there's the Fizz Flash Distractors that you can generate, and depending on what version of Quest Rogue you're running, there's also just Scab's Shadow Crafter. I think Posesi has cut that from the top end, but he still definitely will have enough tools to pick apart the boards that are expected of Miracle Priest.
Well, let's have a look. Posesi obviously deviating over, like you said, to the Quest Rogue. Not what you're looking for in the starting hand. We want statage at the start, getting those getting those SI7 cards online to try and find sap as soon as possible. The Fizz Flash Distractor is usually the most important gizmo to find against Priest. And for okasinnsuke on the other side, as tempting as Draconic Studies often is as a proactive play on turn one, I think it's almost always ending up as bait. You just want to find Nazmani, and you want to find ways to copy it and get the big discount.
He does end up with one of those slightly awkward hands, though, where your most efficient way of corrupting insight is the Nazmani itself. And this is a matchup where it's quite hard to tempo out the Nazmani, not because you expect the rogue to have an answer for it that early, but because you expect them to be on board before you. So with minion attacks combined with dagger or maybe like SI7 agent, it's going to be hard for Nazmani to stick around. Does pick up Horn, though, which is a very big deal from the tradable. That is going to cycle his deck further towards Malagos / second Nazmani, and also corrupt the insight. He will wait instead of coining it out here, though, which I completely agree with, because coin is just such amazing fuel for the pop-off turn.
Palm reading, absolute monster pick there for okasinnsuke. He's got a powerful hand, and he's kind of going to need it, actually, because Posesi's hand, aside from the double wicked stab, which makes my point look a little bit less valid, it's not bad, right? He's got a nice, powerful start with Skulker on 2, can step it here if he wants to get himself a 3-drop off the Smuggler, or just go Smuggler, step it, play it again next turn, which is probably a little bit more likely. And if he can get himself one more powerful card, an Informant, another Smuggler, this hand's coming together pretty well.
I'd just like to see what the Smuggler would summon, even though it is just going to be a 2-drop for now. I don't see a reason to hold off on it, because you could make the argument that it'll get better later on, but it's most impactful in terms of timing, while okasinnsuke is still in this sort of setup phase, drawing towards the minions, discounting enough minions as well. Oh, okay, so he wants the 3-drop right now, and is going for the top deck, like you said, which I feel is a little bit risky, but fair enough. Maybe Posesi feels like he needs to take a risk because the rest of his hand is very slow with the double wicked stabs.
That's insane. I mean, aside from Devour, like Shadow Word Devour, is the hard counter to that. If Okashinsuke can't find that, that is the absolute nuts.
True. Staff of Scales light.
True.
But for now, Okashinsuke doesn't need to panic, right? He's not under a whole lot of pressure yet. He has drawn Malagos, so Horn can only draw the other Nazmani at this point, and Insight. It's a little bit redundant. That ratio of tutor spells to actual minions that we were talking about is really coming into play here.
Oh, Plague?
Powering,
Is that the
just
answer?
to try and respect the 1/1? I don't know, man. I'd be tempted to take Shadow Word Death instead.
Really?
Like, the Plague is so
Does it
unlikely to
hit?
snipe, right? Like, later on in the game, Informant, I guess it's too far off.
There is no later. There is only now. Whoa. I kind of want to just play that. I think you need to go super aggressive here for Posesi.
Yeah, get the other Gizmo, but I mean,
Okay.
that is Assassin. Yeah, it's a little bit too good to give up, right? I think Questrogue's main game plan is actually just outlasting all the threats more so than
Sure.
racing the Priest. Okay, here he goes. That's the other Nazmani guaranteed for 1 mana. Bit unfortunate to have the Horn drawing nothing by this point. Okay, this has to be the greatest plague of Okashinsuke's life.
Well, he's got the shard first, so it
Oh, true.
matter anyway. But still, that wouldn't hurt. That wouldn't hurt if he could kill it off, nonetheless.
True. That's like one of the worst outcomes.
Yeah, not amazing. Ooh. How does this work? You bounce the smuggler? Play it again.
Play it, and then Assassin.
Right.
However, you do not actually get to clear both Nazmani, so I think it's not a Tenwu turn. It's potentially
Okay.
just Gyro Blade into Assassin. And then you hope the Assassin sticks, and you can potentially Tenwu that the next turn for what you know is going to be a Malagos, because you saw the Horn draw nothing, so you know it's in hand.
Yeah, okay, I'm on board. And you can even then play the gadget as well, which is potentially not bad. If you can get yourself either of the minions. The Fizz Flash Distractor for the turn after would also be not bad, just to bounce Malagos and potentially burn a card.
Like it a lot.
Target eliminated.
One of the few times I advocate not spending all your mana. There is a chance he does get to, like you said, though. Nope.
You could just play it to get the Death Rattle and save a 2-1, but not deemed necessary. I guess your hand is not... it's struggling with ways to spend all its mana anyway, so fair enough.
All right, so Okashinsuke knows it's already so difficult for him from this point because any Shadow Step effect or Fizz Flash Distractor would be a huge punish here. He is playing Desperate Prayer in case there is a bounce effect, so he doesn't just blow up the Malagos. It can return to hand and potentially draw even more spells. Doubtful that he'll even have the time in that scenario, though.
Okay, so we have to be looking at the old bounce of the Assassin with Tenwu, and you could even then complete the quest entirely with just a Extortion to face.
Right?
I think
Not
that's...
attacking face to still play around Gift of the Naru, it looks like.
Sure, yeah, okay.
But if he wanted to play around it entirely and complete the quest, he could have extorted the Malagos before killing it. So I'm not really
Extort your
sure.
own face. Do it.
Okay, gonna hold it all together.
Come on. Okay.
I mean, Scab still wouldn't be playable that same turn, so I guess he is just holding off here because there's still 2 Draconic Studies that Posesi has to contend with. Like, this version of Miracle Priest has very specific waves of threats, and until you've seen all of them, you are not in the clear just yet. And that's the studies discovered, pulled from the deck by Thrive of the Shadows.
All right, what are we looking at here? Kazakhstan would be fantastic. Raid boss Onyxia is very interesting indeed, but also very expensive indeed. Still a full 3 turns away, and with no mana cheat currently available, probably dead by then.
Could be, yeah. It's a big boon to Okashinsuke that Posesi still hasn't played Scab, so I don't feel like Okashinsuke is under that much pressure yet, and he has some clearing potential with the double Shadow Word Devours, and he does have healing with Gift of the Naru. It's just, the opposite question is, does Alex Straza 1 turn sooner than the Onyxia win him the game? And I'd be inclined to say no, it's just not nearly enough damage. So I was looking at Onyxia, but in the end he goes with option number 3 in the Malagos, I suppose expecting that he would use a lot of these spells just to clear the board, and then wants to play Malagos to find that other Draconic Studies.
Posesi played that so fast. Was that really not a Scabs on this turn?
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, he's gonna trade this instead?
Like, he has a 2-4 instead of a 7-7? Oh, I don't know,
he's
Chief.
He's still playing around Gift. Wow. He's just completely committed to the control line, which, fair enough. Like, I've not really seen Quest Rogue players approach the matchup this way. They usually take a hybrid stance between removing and also pressuring the Miracle Priest. But if Posesi's mapped it out that this is the way to most consistently win the matchup, then I'll trust him on it.
Yeah, I mean, he's giving us a bit of a smirk here that definitely implies some hesitation as to whether or not this was the correct line.
That he didn't want to see a rush minion, I suppose.
Yeah.
That is a bit of trouble indeed. Because the Fizz Flash Distractor is not permanent removal. It's just putting it back into hand for 1 turn. And as long as Okashinsuke doesn't commit a Bless too early, it could still be scary later on. It is a big deal, though, that he had to commit the double Shadow Word Devour. And those are cards that are just completely expended out after the minion gets bounced back to hand. Probably Elec Mount?
Agreed.
Optimistic.
Got a stealth minion on board. That's very likely to go off.
Oh yeah, the stealth working against Posesi here. He can't even sap it back. But the key thing to note is that without any further discounts on this hand, Elec Mount plus Bless is still a turn away.
Oh, those are all good.
Ay, ay, ay.
Uh...
I don't know.
I really don't know. It can't be Palm, right? It just can't.
Dude, imagine you're Okashinsuke in this position. You see your top deck and you're like, he gave me this? Thank you. No matter which one it is.
Damn. All right, then Mole plus Stealth, I'm guessing. Yeah, Stealth up the Scabs, take out any discovered Shadow of Death or anything like that to deal with it.
The stealth on the Operative is so clutch. Posesi
really
just can't... I mean, you can try and race from this position, but... Wait. Oh, it's 18 burst? No, 17?
Yes.
Okay, but there's also healing effects. So max health on this is 13, right? So if you put it all the way back up to 13, it's 20 maximum.
Sure.
Not quite enough. So Okashinsuke knows that he cannot unstealth this, otherwise all his hard work getting this up to 13 max health gets wasted anyway. So how does he deal with the board instead? Probably just like guard and then commit the Elec Mount. Obviously you can't both have stealth and taunt, but
What's you you go for the old sneaky elephant?
I guess so.
Literally the elephant in the room. Oh, this is so ridiculous. I've never seen a game of Hearthstone like this.
Probably commit Desperate Prayer as well. Oh, he's gonna unstealth it?
King, wow.
Oh man. Wait.
Oh wait, of course it gains the stealth. It gets it back
it
again.
does.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's clever.
Yep. Fizz Flash casters.
Okay, nicely done. And so then that means we're looking at 7, not quite rank 3 on the old Wicked Stabs yet. But it's getting there. It's getting
17,
close.
20 damage is what I count with the SI and the gyro blades. Just a little bit off, but okasinnsuke in the meantime just has... He's one off himself if he can heal this thing all the way back up, which I don't think he can in the meantime. He can gift and hero power to bring it back up to 15. Is it not start with fortitude? I guess, sorry, he's always going to draw a spell at this point, so it's the same.
Yeah.
I think it's just a little bit short.
I mean, if he can find a way to generate apotheosis, then maybe we're talking, but...
Flash heal would be a big one. There's still a palm reading in the deck. Okay, again, maximum health on this minion is 20, right? So let's assume he somehow finds a way to heal it up to 20. Does he have lethal then? I think he still only has 27. Given mana restraints, he can't play the Psyche Split and the Fortitude and the Bless.
I think you're absolutely right.
I think Posesi is still managing to take this one, even though there was a very, very big blunder in the middle there, giving a potential copy target on a stealthable minion.
Yeah. So now you draw a card because you need to look for something better. And again, you can't go face. You can't attack a minion. The Fizz Flash there. Like, if you make 2 of them, you could... but then you can only rush the other one into a minion.
Yeah, so he's going to just remove the 9/9, the 10/10.
Yeah.
Right, to stay alive this way. However, we are looking at the double Wicked Stabs. Is Desperate Prayer enough to keep okasinnsuke alive? No, it is not. 12 in hand, 7 on board. Even without the SI7 agent nor the Gyro Blade, Posesi manages to pull it back. That was so scary in the middle there.
Such a weird pan out there. Like I said, never seen anything quite like it. But again, it's the Priest that loses here. Priest is 0-3 so far in this series, having taken every single loss so far, be it the Sethic version or the more modern version with just the Nazmanis and the Malagos. It just can't seem to get a win in with the... I don't know, the disruption just being too strong. The fact that the modern variant without the Sethics seems to be way too all in on like one type of game plan. Once the Nazmanis are dead, it feels so flimsy by comparison. It's so all in on that one game plan. Whereas the other side, the Sethic Veilweaver game plan doesn't even seem to be able to reach that point in the first place where it makes these big minions and it goes all in. It can go a bit longer because it's generating more effects and can maybe find a couple of answers along the way, but it doesn't hit that power spike that you really need to with both decks to take a win. And so it looks like more and more, Gia, if this carries on, we're just going to end up with a Priest mirror for the game.
We could. To be fair, though, I think the first 2 games that the Priest lost on Posesi's side were of a type of matchup where the, in my opinion, Malagos version could have had more percentage, right? Versus against a Demon Hunter and Druid. Just having more consistent ways to build 1 or 2 big minions is something that those decks struggle with. Whereas this version of Priest does struggle a bit more against Quest Rogue because they do love to deal with individual tall minions. So if anything, I think we're seeing more of the differences of the decks and how they perform in different matchups. But the way that those matchups panned out made just Priest look like it's at fault entirely, which I don't necessarily think is the case. I think the Malagos version still has a very real place in the meta, but that's why we're seeing more and more Quest Rogue being brought. It's just such a good matchup for the Rogue. However, Posesi's moving on to the Burn Shaman now, which is a bit more contestable. I honestly feel like when I play this from the Burn Shaman side, I'm very happy and I lose from the Priest side a lot. But a lot of Priest players have told me it's really not that bad for the Priest, and I'm still waiting to see a pan out that proves it.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see it as well. If we were going to see it, it does feel like this game might be such an example because Posesi's hand is looking a little bit lackluster, high on tempo maybe, but missing that card draw that you really need to make it pop. Whereas okasinnsuke's hand is looking fine. As long as he can find a Nazmani off of this Insight instead of Malagos, he's getting off to a very nice start.
Very awkward hand for Posesi. Wow! the Bloom portal. All right.
Sure, yeah.
Trying to be as powerful as he can versus an early Nazmani, but at earliest, that still would have been next turn coined out. Posesi clearly thinking that he needs to be proactive in the matchup.
Which is interesting, right? Because these early turns of aggression, this early damage that he's getting in, is kind of the most answerable damage by Priest. If you're doing a little bit of chip damage every turn, they can quite happily just hero power every single turn while they're waiting to set up their big combo. And so, I don't know. I feel like Posesi doesn't achieve all too much out of this, especially given how lackluster the rest of his hand is.
Yeah, I was thinking that Bloom could be saved for an earlier multicaster or Cavern if he finds that in the near future. And I think that's the Cavern!
Oh,
okay,
no!
okay. Don't want to be results oriented. That one hurts, Darek. Oh my goodness.
Oh, world champion, by the way. Okay, world champion, by the way.
All right, and he's committing the Zapper too, it looks like. Spend all your mana. He's just playing it like it's Quest Shaman.
You never doubt. You actually never doubt.
Okay. A lot of pressure. Okasinnsuke doesn't have all the time in the world to set this up. He finds Horn and Flash Heal. I'd be inclined to take Flash Heal, honestly, in this position where Posesi's been so aggressive, and you do already have Insight, which is 2 and 3 to find Nazmani.
I almost feel like you might want 2 Nazmanis, though, or at least a shot of finding it, right? Like, it makes his hand from good to insane, because even though it's a very cheap hand, that Draconic Studies kind of like deceptively raises the mana cost quite a lot.
It's true. Gary, though, without additional healing, Posesi did just develop 8 damage on board, and I guess Okasinnsuke is popping off on the very next turn. Oh, no!
No, that's good. That's fine, right? Now, as long as you can hit the 50-50 to hit.
That's the thing. It's like you have lower odds to get the cheaper Nazmani. That's why I said, oh no, but I guess it's still enough.
Right.
Oh, man. Sure. Now the Draconic Studies, you'd rather take a cheap dragon because you want to just try and play Malagos as soon as possible. The Horn becomes a bit of a mana sink here as well.
Yeah, as that does the Nazmani itself, to be honest. Flash heal, sure.
Okay, this last discount matters quite a bit. Okay, you can also... You commit the Nazmani here? Probably
you
not.
save it for the other Mali. Yeah.
Okay. In any case, that's a lot of stats he's just developed, and Posesi has not enough to even kill the Nazmani, let alone deal with the Malagos that's coming right after this turn.
Yeah, it was a very, very powerful setup for Okasinnsuke. It's more of that 2-turn punch rather than a 1-turn kill here that he's going for, which works out often quite nicely against the Shaman.
Okay, once again, I retract my big scream. The 3-cost Nazmani was good enough to get the job done still with that many 0-cost spells. He does actually even commit the 2-5. That's intense.
It is.
In either case, Posesi was only able to clear one of them. But I guess Okasinnsuke is saying here, you have enough on board to deal with the 11-11, so you need to have 5 damage in hand to deal with the other one. And currently, he does not. Steward of Scrolls into Bloom and then Landslide. Does that let him clear both of them?
Ooh.
No, I don't think so. Yeah.
Bolt maybe allows him to clear the big one if you'd want to.
I mean, he already could with all the trades on board.
Right, okay.
Now he doesn't have to sink another 3-3 in. Yeah, even if he had found Bloom for Landslide, because he lost the... Oh, no. Bloom for Landslide would have cleared both of them, because he gets spell damage from the Steward itself.
Yeah. Just about.
Yeah. Oh, painful losing all these minions, but you have to respect this. And Okasinnsuke, because he committed another Nazmani, gets, I guess, the attack initiative. That was 0 cost in hand, right?
Yes, sorry, yes, you're correct. Yeah, so he can immediately buff it and start attacking with it, which is worth something, I suppose. And especially if he can get, wow, a reduction on Gift of Luminance with the first tick from the Nazmani is absolutely insane. Now we're looking at what Gift into, I was going to say Fortitude, but taking a risk on discounting one of the other 1 costs.
I think the Fortitude, if he had used Gift and didn't discount the Fortitude, would have gone up to 1 mana.
Okay.
So, yeah, he just went for it first to not have it be a mana sink. Okay, Landslide, 6 damage, 4 damage. AoE here, not enough to deal with both Nazmanis. It's looking like a disaster for Posesi.
It is. So he can draw 2 cards, I believe, having not played Frost as the 1 spell school from Multicaster, and then hope to hit. Oh, I'm trying to figure out if there's a lethal possibility he can get on the next turn if he just launches everything face, but he has to expect healing in one form or another from Okashinsuke. And so realistically, his best bet is to start down that good old train of Guardians, right? Snowfall, Snowfall into Macaw, because as strong as all of this is from Okashinsuke, unless he hits lethal here, it's still supremely vulnerable to freeze.
Vulnerable, but he sort of has the answer to the minion itself. Like, he won't be able to attack, but with the Shard of the Naru, the Snowfall Guardian itself won't be a threat. If it's a chain of freezes, that's when he has to start sweating a little bit. But for now, oh my goodness, the minions just get bigger and bigger. It never stops. Does he care about healing the stags? Not really. Drive for Bless.
Look at all this, it's perfect. I kind of thought you'd take the 0 mana there just to get these discounted even more, especially with a Draconic in hand.
I think he was looking for any chance of lethal himself, but it's a little bit too far away, I agree.
Yeah.
Or now just used to discount 1 additional more than you pay with it.
Skeletal. Wow, uses the shard here, which is a very, very liberal use of it. I guess removing the freeze on one of them is a big deal, but like you say, now the Snowfall Guardian, if it can be found, becomes more of a threat.
Right, I was surprised to see the shard there, and I guess also the funny side effect of restoring the stags to 4 health after the Devours. Or now, though, no Bloom found for a Wind Chill. So that is a 16 health minion that's sticking around and a very likely shot at Bless, right? There's still 1 more Thrive in hand.
Yeah.
That would be lethal, right?
6 cards in deck, Bless being GG on the spot.
Is it not in the deck? Did he use it already?
I guess maybe he did. Yeah, I thought he had 2 of them, but I guess with only 1 of them in the deck, it's already been used.
Oh, all right then. In that case, it's just more of the same game plan as a while ago, which is your minions, develop your own, and make it so that if they do have Snowfall Guardian, I guess he's hiding behind a Skeletal Dragon taunt for some time.
Yeah, he'll kind of be kicking. Oh no, I guess this is still better than Onyxia with all the board spaces used up. So yeah, this seems fine. 27 health, more than enough to be feeling safe in this instance.
I think the responsible thing to do would be to trade a stag as well with the Malagos. The 916 can definitely go face.
Yeah.
To set up a lethal with... Oh, I keep thinking Bless is still a card, but I guess...
Right, yeah.
All right, the taunts, struggle point for Posesi to deal with. Like, Landslide with a lot of spell damage can do a surprising amount, but still doesn't even have Snowfall. That's crazy.
So he can draw with Wind Chill, or he could just go for Brucan if he takes Taunts and Heal.
No, not enough.
Bang, bang. Bang, bang. I mean, I think he'd be alive, technically. 18-5, he'd gain 11 health. But in the end, he's just going with the freeze plan. And with double wind chill, this might be enough on its own to see him through.
Okay. Dapper coming down with no additional studies hurts a bit, but he does have to get through these skeletal drakes. And the breakpoints work out pretty nice. It's a lot of his burst down the drain, but oh my goodness.
Oh, this is so close. He's getting towards the bottom of his deck. Like, maybe if you can find the Snowfall Guardian, it might be enough to just outlast it all with no more silence left for okasinnsuke. We can take a look at the bottom of his deck. It might not be exactly right with some of the cards not working correctly, but I think apart from Horn, everything is correct there, right?
He discovered a Horn, right?
Oh, maybe so, yeah. Okay.
And argued about the
one of them's wrong.
Okay. But for Posesi, the remaining cards are just as crucial because he absolutely needs Snowfall Guardian. I think he overloaded himself for exactly 3 last turn, which would still allow him to play Snowfall off the top, going into 9 mana overloaded. Oh, and if it's not that, that's just the game, right?
I mean, it's a lot of pressure from okasinnsuke, even without that bless that we keep talking about with the 8 attack from Nosdormu, and then probably the Nether Drake that you're going to play as well.
The difference between Snowfall and none is so stark here because if there's one Snowfall, there's Macaw as well, but that is still not it.
So the last battle cry played, was it
Multicaster?
Multicaster? Because if so, you could go Macaw. Oh, there's no more blooms though, are there? Like Macaw into Overdraft plus Snowfall. Is that enough mana?
No, he would only gain 2. He'd only gain 2 mana, but he has 1 more freeze in the Sleet Breaker. Still dead on board in that case. Anything from studies? I don't think so. Oh, if he had 1 more piece of freeze, he could have stayed alive on board.
Right. Zapper plus Landslide plus Bolt. I don't think quite does it. It's so close.
It just doesn't get there. Posesi knows it. Throws it down. okasinnsuke defeats the reigning world champion 3-1.
What an unbelievable series of Hearthstone. I think I would have just absolutely crumbled like 10 minutes into that one with the number of unfamiliar situations that our players were put in. Like, you were talking about it at the start where Posesi just tries to get that practice in by grinding as many games as possible, finding the reps, the common patterns that you're going to see in a lot of the different matchups. You're never going to come across a series of games like that before in your life, with every single one seeming completely unique, not even similar to anyone I've seen before. Like, even that last one, how often do you see a shaman that doesn't draw a single snowfall before like 7 or 6 cards left in deck? It's incredibly unlucky for Posesi. And even then, I think his game plan was absolutely spot on through that mid game. We can talk about Bloom Serpent Shrine being a little bit of a weird one, I think, and then getting bailed out with Bloom into the Wild Boar Caverns afterwards. But that mid game, to survive that long, was truly impressive.
Yeah, finding the line with the landslide to at least get rid of the taunts and then freeze away the Nazmanis. But in the end, that onslaught of huge minions, 1 turn after the other, there simply aren't enough answers in the Burn Shaman list. And without many ways at all to generate additional spells, there's just not much hope there without the snowfalls. It does mean now that we have our 2 finalists for week 1. I think 2 of the newer Grandmasters versus 2 of the old guard. Maybe not the way that most people would have expected the finals to pan out, but I'm very happy to see it.
Yeah, me too. And Grandmasters is a weird player to qualify because on the one hand, he's been here for a while, but if you treat him as